Draw! Bang! A crack of thunder fills the air. The smoking gun held by a powerfully built orc man wearing leather chaps. A vest and a shiny sheriff's badge holds everyone's attention. The orc slowly lowers the firearm, stowing it back in his holster. He carefully and deliberately walks up to a bloody dwarf, surveying his handiwork. I'm sorry you had to go down this way, brother. You picked the wrong side. That I can't abide. He removes his pinched front hat, holding it over his heart. After a moment, he lowers his head. The entire saloon erupts in applause as the pianist begins to play. The orc bows deeply, then helps the dwarf to his feet, who also bows to the attending patrons. The two walk to the bar, arm in arm, and order a bottle of whiskey. Thank you for attending. A female dwarf stands on the bar top, addressing the patrons in a loud voice. Whiskey is only 2 silver for the next hour, and that includes top shelf. Come back next week for a conclusion of Hearts at High Noon and after party. Enjoy yourselves. The dwarven woman, Phoebe Dunsmith, hops off the bar onto the sawdust-covered floor and heads to the back room, where a round table and private bar await. She props one foot up on a stool, leans forward on her knee, and casts a suspicious eye around the room. Now that the show is over, let's talk business. I've brought you all here because we share some common enemies. With your help, I can make them pay and get you rich in the process. But first, I want you to tell me why you deserve a job that could pay your weight in gold. At this point, I'm going to ask each of you to introduce your characters to the rest of your group, including what they may be able to see. But only share what you want people to know. And we begin with Maddie.
All right. So we're sitting right now?
Yeah, you're sitting around a table.
All right. So seated at the table, hands folded on the tabletop, is a woman. She looks to be fairly young, but looks can be deceiving. Pale of skin. Her eyes are so pale blue that they almost look clear. The only sense of what they are is the dark ring around her iris and the pupil in the middle. She wears her hair, dark black hair, tied up in some kind of a bun at the back of her head with a what looks like a hairpin of some sort with some feathers and other beads sort of attached to it. Since you're seated at the table, you only really see her from the waist up, and she's wearing the garment of what you can tell at least, what looks to be something that a saloon performer might wear. The bodice is a black and orange striped, and a blouse of rich purple sort of balloons out around her shoulders, and she sort of just has her leather covered hands kind of folded, but she taps her fingers, kind of drumming them gently on top of her other hand as she sits.
And we move on to Ocelot.
At the same table, you see large is maybe not the correct word. A very big boy, a gnoll, with a larger than normal set of ears coming off the top, one of which seems to have a bullet hole shot straight through it. And he is actually sitting in his chair backwards, leaned forward over the chair, using it as a sort of a steady for his hands, which you see are wrapped in suede yellow leather working gloves. He has these tiny little tools, looks almost like watchsmith's tools, and he's working on some sort of project, not really paying attention to much around as he wears these big, bronze-covered goggles with purple glass over the eyes. You can't even see his eyes behind them; they're mirrored, so you only see yourself reflected in them. He's broad-shouldered, very large, and imposing, and at his belt, which you can not necessarily see, but you more hear the movement of just a smattering of random tools. And sitting at his breast, you would probably all recognize a symbol of the goddess Bree, which a temple exists within the city. She is the goddess of clockworks, and he obviously is some sort of cleric of hers, and is seems a bit odd to be at this table, and is working on this little device, as he just sort of looks up at the question and says, I need the help and the money. I can help for the money.
As you look at Pip, he's obviously a halfling. He's about 3 foot, maybe a little taller, at least in his mind. And he has got brown hair that runs down his back just a little ways, as it's tied into a ponytail on the back. And he has an earring in one ear and a ring on his left hand, both looking like they're of some value. But as you look at his clothes, he's got a very basic cloak on and a little brown cloak, and you notice that as much as it looks like it's nice, you can tell it's a little tattered, as if there's some kind of conflict between what he's wearing and what he's trying to let you see versus, what he's actually showing otherwise. And he, as spoken to, leans forward. I have many skills, and I can certainly be of value, providing help here and there where you need, and definitely can be beneficial to you for the right price.
And Phoebe turns and looks at the other Knoll at the table.
There you will see a very tall and slender Knoll sitting beside Ocelot. Chair, pretty much the opposite, where Ocelot has his chair turned forward and is leaning forward. She has her chair a little bit away from the table and kind of leaning back, arms crossed. She takes out her dagger and she's flipping her dagger around. She has a hood, and when she puts up her hood, you can actually see there is 2 little holes so that she can stick her ears out when she puts her hood up. When her hood is down, almost like a mohawk style, like long mohawk, but brushed, like overly brushed to the one side. Short fur on the other side. And you notice that her cloak is not floor length. It is short enough where her tail can be visible. And yeah, she flips her dagger around very skillfully, short sword at her hip. She leans back. You're looking for help. You found the right group. They're quite skilled.
Phoebe nods again and then finally turns her attention to the dwarf.
So Argus is leaning back. His wide-brimmed hat is pulled almost over his face, though he does look up, and you get a peek of the rather intense azure eyes that he has. His hair is, I won't say perfectly cut, but it is rather neat for the average dwarf. He's actually rather on the slender side for a dwarf. He's still a bit, a bit husky, but compared to most dwarves, he does appear to be rather slender. He is impeccably dressed. He's wearing a black suit with red trim and red lining, with a cream-colored shirt beneath. Underneath his suit jacket, he has a vest of the same color as his jacket and pants, and he is taking his time just cleaning 2 pistols. At first, you would think he wasn't paying all that much attention, but when he does look up, he looks her directly in the eye and he says, well, I've been known to be a fair shot, and my word is my bond. and it is his words are backed up by the fact that on his suit, on the lapel of his suit, is a pin of a lizard perched upon a scroll, that of the god Coles, marking him as an oath keeper.
Phoebe smiles at you. She nods. She stands up and walks over to the door. Opens it, yells out, "Grab us some food and some drink." Shuts the door and comes back to the table. "Food and drink will be here in just a moment. Now here's the game. Ambrose Muglin has a decent portion of his funds invested in an old bank called the Gold Tank Reserve. It's a rundown temple of Abadar in Ironside Quarter that's mostly used by ranchers and crooked politicians. I happen to know they sent half their clockwork handlers out for maintenance and won't have them back until tomorrow afternoon. This is our chance to hit Mugland where it hurts. All you have to do is bust up the few clockworks remaining, get the vault key from the bank manager, and fill a sack with gold. And once you've done inside the bank, run out the back. Muglin's got a few crooked shield marshals on his payroll, including that damn bastard, Deputy Lovelace. She and her goons are sure to be hot on your tail, but don't fight them. They'll gun you down in a second if you give them a chance. Just run away, and they'll look like fools. Nothing's sure to fry a deputy's egg like crooks you can't catch, trust me. You can lose them in the Wayland Scrapyard, just west of the reserve. There's a sewer entrance within. From there, it's a straight shot back to the saloon where you'll be safe. Any questions?
Yes, question. You said there were clockworks protecting the bank. Are they, sentient? Or just sort of protecting?
They're protecting. I wouldn't call them sentient. They have a job just like anything and programmed to do what they're supposed to do.
That's
So-
doable.
These ones are a bit rougher than ones you might find over on Skyside.
That's
Is
fine.
This bank manager gonna hand over the key, or is he gonna need to be convinced?
I'd be surprised if he hands over the key. Won't be doing his job if he does.
I think we do this. This is perfect. I'm ready for it.
I mean, that's not a lot of information to go off of. Are you aware of numbers? How many
Well,
clockworks?
about half as many as what there usually is, so I think there's 4 total. Now, when it comes to Muglin's business, there may be some people in the bank, but nobody's innocent. That said, best not to go killing anybody or taking hostages. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind taking his investors down a notch too, but I can't abide working with a crew of marauders as wicked as the devil himself.
So don't hurt anybody. Don't kidnap anybody. What about taking things?
Well, of course I want you to take things, hence the reason I'm sending you there.
Things for you, but what about for us?
Well, you get what I need. I ain't gonna worry about other things you take.
Perfect.
What exactly are we taking? A lot of gold? How are we getting it back?
Oh, it's gonna be a lot of gold, and how you're getting it back is... And she reaches underneath her chair. You didn't notice it initially, but there's a little box of items, and she picks it up. You're gonna put it in this. And she hands you a Bacco Holding Type 1.
Ooh.
Now, for those that are curious following along at home, most everything that comes up, whether it be a spell or an item or etc., you can find on Archives of Nethys, which there will be a link coming up right now. But you all know about Bag of Holdings. And you know that they are essentially pocket dimensions that can hold a variety of items in them. Now, this is a bag of holding type 1. And what that means is the capacity of it is about 25 bulk. So in Pathfinder 2E, weight goes by bulk.
So how much gold is that by bulk?
How much is
capacity.
How much is the bag? Or are you asking how much can it hold?
No. How much would 25 bulk be in gold?
Well, it will hold enough gold that I'm asking you to get.
All right.
So about the sewer.
Pocketbook. We're good.
About the sewer, well, you'll be going through the Wailing Scrapyard to get to it.
Yeah, and he takes a look down at his pants. I got questions.
All right, I got answers.
This gonna be wet down there, or you gonna be able to walk?
The sewer should be pretty empty. The scrapyard, well, I mean, you got the nail gobblers, but they don't hurt anybody. They've been running the scrapyard since it was left abandoned about 10 years now. They live in the heaps. You need to resupply while you're there, you can probably trade with them. But if they offer you anything to eat, don't look at it too closely. Just hold your nose and swallow.
Noted.
Nothing we need to worry about in there.
I mean,
Don't smell the food.
it's called the Wailing Scrapyard. But again, I just think that's the nail gobblers doing all that. I don't think it has anything. Nothing's gonna harm you. The door opens up, and in comes food, and she kind of directs it to y'all.
Would I know anything about the Wailing Scrapyard, being a fan of scrap?
Go ahead and I will roll a secret perception check. Or not perception, but
Lore?
Yeah. What's your lore? What lore do you have?
I don't have Alkenstar lore. I have Bree and Knoll.
No, then give me society. What's your society?
That's +1.
+1? All right. Well, you know that the Wailing Scrapyard was at one point owned by two sisters. Unfortunately, one sister died, and it the grief kind of took the other sister. She wandered off into the Mana Wastes. And since its abandonment, inventors and manufacturers around Alkenstar continued to dump things there. Well, the Nail Gobblers, which is a small society of goblins, they ended up taking it over and actually running a pretty good business out of there. Lately, though, there's been talk of ghosts, things like that. Nobody knows for sure, though. Might just be the Nail Gobblers making noises.
I'll tell that as plainly as you told it to me to everybody else.
Okay.
He's very matter of fact with it.
Okay. Any other questions I can do for you?
I don't think so.
All right.
Seems good to me.
She pulls out of her box that's sitting there next to her as well 5 hats of disguise, one for each of you. And a hat of disguise works very similar to the disguise spell, in that I'm going to give you more information right about. Sometimes I gotta wait for things to load.
Love that.
There we go. It essentially, it's an ordinary hat, allows you to cloak yourself in illusions. The effect that it has is it casts a first level illusory disguise spell on you. While setting up the disguise, you can magically alter the hat to appear as a comb, a ribbon, a helm, or other piece of headwear. And the illusionary disguise creates an illusion that causes you to appear as another creature of the same body shape with roughly similar height within 6 inches and weight within 50 pounds. It lasts an hour. The disguise is typically good enough to hide your identity, but not impersonate a specific individual. It doesn't change your voice, it doesn't change your scent, doesn't change your mannerisms. You can change the appearance of your clothing and worn items, things like that. Held items are unaffected, and any worn item you remove returns to its true appearance.
And we know what this is. I mean, she told it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yep.
I've been looking for one of these, and I'll like instantly put it on.
Okay. Now, keep the pouch and put all the gold in it, you hear? Otherwise, it'll slow you down. And keep those hats on. Keep your identity secret. But don't muss them up. I'll be wanting them back when you're done.
Can I keep mine?
We can talk about that when we're done.
Okay, good.
You might want to see about that. That'd be good.
Rowan will lean over to Ocelot. If he's gonna pay you your weight in gold, I'm pretty sure you can buy it.
Can we talk after this, Nightshade? I have some questions.
Okay.
All right, unless you got any other questions, I'll be on my way. Remember, the bank is only going to be empty of half their clockwork handlers for a day while they're in maintenance. You got some time to check some things out, but don't take too long. And you see her, she walks out the door, leaving all of you there to your devices.
Speaking of devices. Just fiddling with random gears and stuff. I lean in close to Nightshade. What are you doing here? I didn't realize you would be on this job too. I haven't seen you in a while.
Do you not want to see me?
I mean, no, your family, I love you.
Well, yes. I
It's
love
just
you too. But
Don't necessarily want family to have to be stealing from a bank.
well, we're in this together. We'll look out for each other. Just like
Like
all
always.
time. Yeah.
Like always.
All right. What do you think about this clockwork stuff?
I don't know, it's got me questioning a lot. I know, you know me, I know a lot about them. I think I can probably help in taking them apart, or at least shutting them down if we need to get around them. What do you think?
I was thinking more finder's fee for you. It sounded like there's a lot of good things in here for you.
Oh, I didn't think about taking them with us. Although I don't think the bank would much appreciate losing their clockworks, but I guess they're not going to have much of a choice if we take them out.
No.
That's a
Always
good
to
thought.
know.
I'll keep thinking about it. And he'll just sort of turn around and keep working on his little thing.
And it's like she's like almost about to say something else, and then she's just like she already knows that like once he's like lost in something, it's like there's no point. So she's just like, okay. And she'll call over the waitress.
So the waitress
She
has
said-
already left. There's food and drinks and everything on the table.
Because we're in like a private room.
Yeah, you're in a private room. Yeah.
I got my whiskey, my cheap whiskey.
You got some
Okay.
some cheap whiskey in there.
Okay, cool. Okay, then yeah, she'll just start to sip her drink then.
I think we're gonna run into some ghosts or something in that. I don't think it. I think those noises are real.
I agree. We should be
Wanna make a
careful.
bet?
I'm not much for betting.
Oh,
I play by the facts.
whatever.
I'll take you up on that bet.
She called you Argus, right?
Yes, sir.
I like those guns. Where'd you get them?
Well, I could tell you, but It might be dangerous for you, but yeah, why?
You understand
Because
that
I'm
you
cool.
have not abated my curiosity by saying what you've said.
I realize that.
All right, I guess I'll live with it.
And he gives you a smile.
You, pale skin, you haven't been talking much.
I find the right words come at the right time.
I agree.
You have to be clever enough to know how to work your way through things.
So you have a plan then?
Some thoughts.
Would you like to share your thoughts?
Perhaps. But what I wonder mostly is what really do we get out of this? I mean, we're being sent in for this and suggested we are getting coin, but what does that mean? We put our necks on the line for for a bit of measly gold, and then what?
I mean, get out of our... I mean, I assume that all of us are in some sort of rough situation,
Yes.
right?
Happy to get coin and hurt Mugland in the process. It's a win-win.
See, I think I already know what his issue is.
That would be.
I think he gambled all his money away. I can't tell what the dwarf did. I'm pretty sure I know what Nightshade did. But I can't make out why you're here.
Because I'm very good with words. Of course.
Ah, got yourself into some trouble, I see.
Anyway, I think that if we're going to do this, we might as well have a good solid plan, and that doesn't mean just walking in blind. We should perhaps take a look at what we're dealing with, find out about the bank, see if there'd be anybody on the inside willing to turn a blind eye to our extracurricular activities.
It would also be smart of us to go to this whaling scrapyard, learn about the sewer entrance, see if it's safe.
Of course, that comes with taking a lie of the land, of course.
Well, where do we want to start?
Well, it might be easiest to do a bit of checking out of the bank itself while it's in normal operating hours, not look suspicious, of course. See what we can find out, then check out the scrapyard. Perhaps.
That works for me. But if we're going to do this, we need to do it as a team, right? Because we're all here in this together.
Well, that would be the smartest idea. I think turning on each other at this stage would be unwise, don't you?
Yeah. Right.
We should probably make sure that the details that she gave us check out.
Yes. Of course.
Not going in by
Finish your
myself.
drinks. Let's get moving. I don't like waiting.
So, is everybody finishing drinks then?
Yeah, Argus takes the cup of whiskey and shoots it.
How many, how long have we been here for?
So you've only been there maybe 40, 45 minutes at most. You had come to the room while the play was happening. And once the play ended, in came Phoebe, and she talked to you probably, 15 minutes there, 20. And then you guys started your chit chat. And so it's approximately, I would say, you're probably looking at right around 8:10 in the evening.
Okay. Rowan then would have, let's just say for argument's sake, she's already had 2 drinks. She will, if she looks at Ocelot, are we leaving now?
And you'll also notice that if anyone brought me a cup of whiskey, it is still perfectly full and has not been touched.
Okay.
As I look at yours, really? Yeah, I mean, don't we need to get moving? She said we have 24 hours.
All right. And she'll take one more whiskey to go, and then before she takes that whiskey, she looks down at Ocelot's and she picks it up because she knows that he's not going to drink it, and just like takes a shot, just like Argus did. It was like kind of like a cheers to Argus before ordering one more to go.
For those that were curious, there apparently will be heavy drinking in this campaign. All right. Oh, you're silenced, Argus.
Yeah. So Argus looks up at Rowan and, with a smile, takes another cup and cheers, and shoots it down as well.
All right. So Maddie has brought up a variety of things that you're doing. Are you doing this as a group? Are you doing this split up? What are you doing first? I heard talk about checking out the bank. I heard talk about checking on an employee, and I heard talk about checking out the Wailing Scrapyard.
Ocelot is not entirely excited to go talk to people in a bank. And if he could encourage someone like possibly Pip to come with him to the Wailing Scrapyard, he'd be all down for that. Of course, he'll ask Nightshade if she wants to come along with him, but
I mean, what kind of question is that? Obviously, I'm going to come with you.
I think it might be smart for us to start at the scrapyard, but I know that Maddie has a different interpretation of the plan.
So I've got two of you going to the scrapyard.
Pip will go to the scrapyard. He's glad to put on the little hat, and he ties it into his ponytail in the back and makes himself as much taller as he can, because he's 3'2", and so 3'1", so 3'7", not really, but he can be a lot heavier at least, but still doesn't trust being seen around Muglin stuff right away. So he would be glad to go check out the scrapyard first.
Dungeon Guide, would we know what hours this bank operates, since it is already at 8 o'clock at night?
Yes, it's a general operating hours of approximately 8 to 5.
So it's closed for the day by now.
It is indeed closed for the day. So checking out the bank, obviously you wouldn't be able to go inside. You'd be looking at the area around it, etc.
Argus looks up at Maddie and says, "Shall we go and make sure this back entrance actually exists?"
Yes, I think that would be the wisest option.
All right. So we'll take Ocelot, Pip, and Nightshade first. We're gonna, you all are gonna go check out the Wailing Scrapyard. Okay. Your best bet, and you all would know this, your best bet would be to talk to some of the waste disposal services, the tinkers and junk shops around town about to learn information. Can I get all of you give me a diplomacy check?
Diplomacy.
And this is just
15.
Game or
15. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, I'm showing the games. Can I do this with the game paused, or?
Oh, let me unpause it. There you go.
Did you see my roll come through? I rolled a 14.
You rolled a 14.
I
Okay.
forgot that you could roll on here.
Yeah.
And you rolled a 15, correct, Nightshade?
Yes.
And just so you know, this is gathering information. And Pathfinder 2E, one of the things that you can do regarding things is gather information. So that's what you guys are currently working on. And Pip, what did you roll?
I'm trying to find it here. I'm just going to roll it outside.
That's fine.
It's the hand on your character sheet if you're in the forge.
Oh, well, that's an impressive 7.
All right.
Goody.
So as you all...
I didn't cheat.
as you're walking around, Pip and Keen, you don't actually get much information, but Nightshade does. And Nightshade, you learn a little more about the Nail Gobblers. They're a group of, like I said, goblin scavengers who live off the junkyard's bounty of scrap and waste. Sometimes sell that goods salvage to the city's junk shops and tinkers. You also learn that the mournful wailing that is heard from the scrapyard at night is where it's getting its current name. Locals are insisting that it's a hulking ghost made of scrap metal floating around the scrapyard when the moon is dark. And so that would be all the information that you would learn at this point.
Okay, so she would reiterate that to the group, just as you did, not as eloquently, obviously. She's had some drink, so I heard something about goblins or something like that.
Is the moon dark tonight?
This is great.
The moon is half dark tonight.
All right. Well, then there's no ghosts out tonight.
Maddie and Argus, you were heading to the rear entrance to the bank. Is that my understanding?
We were confirming that there was a rear entrance to the bank.
And Maddie would have had to use the hat of disguise to disguise herself.
Okay.
So she looks like a elven woman with long blonde hair, and she's a little smudged and looks like she might fit in with the laborers of Smokeside fairly well.
Gotcha. All right, and so go ahead and give me either a perception, thievery, or what are your lores currently?
I have I think my lore is vampire.
I've got
Hold on, let me double check.
dwarven subculture and
No,
engineering.
mine's dance. Mine's dance.
Okay, so yeah, so
Not entirely useful lores.
No.
not yet. Give me a perception or a thievery check. Either one will be fine.
Yeah, I'll do a perception since it's my better skill.
We are all in Smokeside doing this whole thing, right?
Yes,
The
this is-
tavern was in Smokeside
Correct.
and all the rest. Okay.
Yes.
Where is perception?
It's a great question. I'll bring up a map here in a moment so everyone can see, but I wanted to get through this first.
Where is the little bar is missing? Oh, that's not helpful. Fine, I will do it without worrying about the forge right now because the bar is not showing up. It's a 17 plus 6, so 23.
23. And what'd you roll,
Yeah.
Argus?
So for perception, how do you do a perception roll here?
So if you're
wait.
looking at your character sheet.
I found it.
All
I
right.
found it.
He found it.
And for those that are curious, we are using Foundry, and we'll be sharing that here momentarily. You rolled a 14.
Thank goodness for big bonuses.
Whoa, you got a big perception bonus.
So you all learned a couple of pieces of information regarding there is indeed a back entrance and a way to leave the bank. You notice there are three clockwork handlers patrol the interior of the bank, and they can be seen through the windows. They stop in various locations, and then the ever-burning torch in their head slowly rotates on their head to complete a circle. You also know that the bank is an old Abadar temple. The bank, the outer walls are solid stonework. There's a domed ceiling of the main chamber, only slightly cracked. Each entrance has new wooden doors with simple locks. So you get that information. Additionally, the back of the bank does feature an overgrown yard. And any activity in the leaf-strewn yard is likely to draw attention. There's a pathway that leads to a side door marked staff only. And that is all you pick up from your viewing. Now, each of those have taken, a couple of hours. Are you going to do anything else?
It's night, so I can't imagine going into the Wailing Scrapyard to find the sewer entrance is advisable without the whole squad.
That is correct.
So I think good to know that comes from the DM's mouth.
But I could win my bet.
Listen, we can check on your bet later. Why don't we go catch up with the others? Maybe we can do it as a team.
I mean, we
If
can
we're looking
also-
to do this tonight.
I mean, we can also just check quickly. She like looks over to Pip just because we've made a bet.
Luck. We could luck.
All
It
right,
could go wrong.
I'll stand guard. Just go check
Come
quick.
on, come on, Ocelot. Where's your sense of
All
adventure?
right, just make it fast.
A little scared.
Okay, we'll go in quick, stealthily as possible.
so
Just
what are you
taking a
doing?
peek. We're just checking on our bet.
I know.
They're looking for ghosts.
Ghosts in the
I
scrapyard.
need to know exactly what you're doing.
We can do you want a perimeter around to see if there's a ghost, or do you want to go in quick and check quickly?
We can start by circling it.
All right. Yeah, well then we'll just like circle it.
All right, you circle the scrapyard, and you don't hear anything unruly at this point. There's, you don't hear the wailing, but again, from what you've understood, from who you've talked to, the wailing isn't something that's consistent, something that happens time and again.
I haven't won yet. It's gonna
I'm
happen.
aware. All right, let's go. I don't think Ocelot's gonna wait for us much longer.
No, he seems a little bit of a chicken, but that's okay.
I know he is, but that's okay. She whispers like before we come around the corner.
My ears are like perked up.
I know how far you can hear.
Yeah,
and at
you
what
do.
decibel. Okay, so we'll head back then. Thanks for entertaining that. No ghosts yet.
For now.
Let's go.
All right, good.
So
the
you
bank
you
then.
all head back to the bank, or I'm sorry, head back to meet up with.
Where would we have agreed to meet? Maybe back at the tavern, I
I would
guess?
assume it was back at the tavern.
Yeah, back at the tavern makes the most sense.
Where the alcohol is.
Says the dwarf.
So you all head back to the tavern. You're looking at it's probably right around 1:30 right now. Or 1:30. I do
1:30.
math terribly. It's about 10:30.
It's like,
right
wow,
now.
wasn't it like 8?
It was a big
Oh, where
circle
did that
around,
time go?
around the scrapyard. Took a long time.
Time flies when you're walking around the scrapyard.
Looking for ghosts.
We
So
wanted
it's-
to be really, really sure there was a back door.
So it's about 10:30 in the evening. You all head back to the tavern, which, in case anybody was curious, it's called Barrel and Bullet Saloon.
Hmm.
I like this place.
Figured you would.
Now that we are probably done with tonight's activities, Ocelot will drink a beer, not anything too liquor heavy. Just sort of a relaxing drink, and we'll sit waiting for everyone else to come back. Assuming we get back first, but honestly, we probably get back second because they circled the scrapyard.
All right. So everybody gets back. Maddie, Argus, Nightshade, Pip, Ocelot gathered together in the bar. Anything else in this evening before you head to bed?
No ghosts yet. Yet.
Yet. You're muted.
Do you honestly actually believe there's ghosts?
I mean, all signs point to ghosts.
Seems pretty foolish.
Like to bet.
Well, on the odd chance that there are ghosts, I reckon one of you has a plan for them because he looks at his, takes out one of his guns. I'm thinking this ain't gonna do much against them.
I
They have a
mean,
plane.
that depends. I'm not much of an expert on ghosts. I don't Really, I haven't learned a lot. But they're definitely real. It's foolish to think that they're not. Just saying. Anyways, what did you guys learn from the bank?
Backdoor exists.
The 3 clockwork guards. They have ever burning torches in their heads.
Would I know anything about that? Clockworks with ever burning torches.
With the ever burning torches, so these clockwork handlers, and this you all would know this in general, having lived in Alkenstar. Clockwork handlers can be created in different ways depending on what they're doing. And so the ever burning torches essentially are torches that stay lit. They don't create heat or anything like that. And so they're in their heads to essentially illuminate, and there's a little opening, and it'll spin around like a lighthouse every once in a while to illuminate the entire room. And so it's like, woo, woo, and then it'll close, and then it'll walk some more. Then it'll open again.
So it's Metal Gear, is what I'm hearing.
It is indeed. It is.
We have to just stay in the shadows, and then we won't get seen, right?
But yes, there's also an employee entrance, and the yard is rather strewn with thieves, so I don't recommend going trouncing about there because you're going to end up creating quite the disturbance.
Nightshade's pretty good at not making any disturbances where she goes. I'm not the best at that.
You have to be light on your feet and still crush leaves.
I can be led on my feet when necessity calls for it.
Guy was built that way.
I'm not so good at that. You guys might want to go without me. Did the Clockworks, they had weapons in their hands, or were they just sort of sentries?
They're sort of sentries. They do have kind of like a spear-like piece and a rope. So on their shoulder is essentially a spool of rope to be able to tie people up. You know that these sentries, generally speaking, in most parts, are built to do non-lethal damage and essentially just kind of take people prisoners. These ones, though, you could see some of the padding was taken off to allow lethal damage to happen.
Well, when do we want to do this?
Want or need? There's a big difference.
Fair.
Want? I don't want to rob a bank. It's not my style.
Well, looks like it's our style right now, so we need to make a plan. Time, place, plan of attack.
Not really big into plans. I just sort of do.
Nightshade, what's your take on this? We've raided stuff before. This shouldn't be that bad.
What time would be the best time to scope the bank? We should see it during the day, when people are in and when people are out. How many guards there are. It's a bank after all.
And we should probably hit it in the late afternoon, starting to hit evening time. People get tired, lazy. I know I do.
I wonder if we can cause some sort of distraction.
What to do? Just
Something that would draw a crowd elsewhere.
I'm good at drawing crowds.
Someone could make a big fuss in the bank about their savings account.
Can anybody in this part of town actually afford a savings account, really?
Checking account. Either way, I mean, that seems like an obvious distraction, unless we want to get into a fist fight in the middle of the street, but...
Too messy.
That
And
sounds
then there's
rather
going to be
droll.
more guards called.
We don't want that.
I want to get the ones out front looking the other way. Then we go out the back.
That's a thought as well. If you're
What
so
would
good at
help,
distractions,
perhaps?
Maddie, what's your idea?
Well, I was going to suggest what would help, perhaps, if you're going to go in looking a certain way, figure out what the employees wear, go through the employee entrances, make yourself look like you look there, you belong there.
I guess we have these hats, right?
Indeed. If
They
they
do
think
only
you
last
belong
an
there,
hour.
then you can get in and out much more easily without having to worry about massive distractions. A little one would go a long way.
Would we have seen, just being in town, what the guards wear?
Say that again.
Would we have seen, like, just being in town and around, what the guards wear?
Oh yeah, you would have seen there were 2 out front of the bank, and then like I said, there were 3 inside. So
The shield wardens or the clockwork?
those are the clockworks. So the shield wardens are they're deputies, you know, of not lawless, of loveless, and so you know they're around town. This area, you know, it's not like they're on every other street.
I'll lean over to Nightshade and say, I don't need to be in looking like a shield warden. I've got a little bit too much heat from them on me.
You can be whoever you want to be. I think the hat can change you into whatever.
I know, I'm just saying if that's our plan, I don't want that to be the plan.
I got no desire. Oh, well,
Okay.
Quiet. Argus
So when
says,
are we leaving? What's happening here? And she's just kind of confused, like, like she's just going back and forth. Okay, so are we going as guards?
I think we were looking at employees in the bank. Are there other ones other than guards?
I mean, I'd imagine there are people that, you know, deal with all of the money transaction sort of things. It's not all guards. Be useless.
There is another option.
What is it?
One of us
Argus?
walks in there like we belong there, and the rest of us look like we're the protection.
How does
This is
that get
rough
us to
part
the
of
vault?
town. How does it get to the vault? Well, the one that looks like they belong there is gonna wanna tour the facility. See if it's up to snuff.
And I just sort of look up and down at your stately attire and say, I'm guessing that you're the one who belongs there then.
No. Dude. Listen, I can look the part, but you don't want me talking when I might have to say something that, well, something that, you know, we may not want them to hear. And he just kind of like toys with his pen.
Oh. Who's gonna do that then? If that's our plan.
Who's the best with words? Maddie?
Argus looks up at the pale woman. Well, I think she might look the part.
I can even more so look the part with this little hat here.
She sounds the part too.
I can sound like anything I want to sound like.
Darling, that's even better.
Because everything's a performance after all.
Is this what you really sound like?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yes, I would. That's why I asked.
I suppose if you spend some time around me, you might learn one way or the other.
That seems vague and confusing.
Argus turns to Ocelot and says, "Did you hear about the one with the curiosity and the cat?
No, tell me about it.
Well, it didn't end well for the cat. Not sure
Why
how
not?
it ends for Knowles, but how many lives you got?
I mean, I'm working on the one.
You might want to hold on to that for dear life."
I do my best. So we go early, look around, and then we come back again. All of us look like guards for Maddie here, and then we ask to get into the vault.
Suppose so.
Worth a shot.
Sounds
Seems
a
like
plan.
an option. And create enough of a distraction as far as pulling everyone's eye. Then perhaps you can make your exit easily enough. If anyone's good enough to subtly stuff whatever needs to be stuffed into that bag there, it might make things a little less obvious.
That is a good question. Are we grabbing everything in the vault, or was there a specific thing that she asked for?
All the gold in the vault is in a box. You are grabbing that box.
Great. And I don't want to meta-knowledge this, but it was an old church of Abadar, and I know Abadar is the god of vaults. Probably not very easy to get into, right? And I might not need to... Would I need to roll for that information? Or,
That'll be a secret check. What is your thievery?
my thievery,
Yeah.
you say? Wow, it's a
think maybe I
trained
should-
+1.
So for those that are watching at home, with secret checks, I roll for the player. And if they critically succeed, they get a lot of good information. They succeed, they get some information. They fail, they get no information. They critically fail, they get the wrong information.
Now, let me sell you on this, Terry.
Yeah.
Could I make it a religion check because it relates to it being an old church of Abadar and knowing about Abadarian mechanical clockwork creations of vaults and such?
All right, what's your religion?
Yeah! All right, +6 on religion.
All right. You know that, yes, this was a vault of Abadar, and Abadar temples were often banks of towns as well, in many small towns around the area. And you know that Abadar is the god of essentially banking, is one of the things that he watches over. And you know that getting into the vault is doable, but difficult. You know that the vault door is probably about 10 feet tall. You know, and it's large. And would take multiple tries to get it open. But it is doable.
One thing I will say is, if we are going to get into the vault, it would be easiest to do it by having someone open it for us, or like what, what's her name? Phoebe said, to get the key from the bank owner. I don't think we're going to make through by sheer force, and no offense, Nightshade, I don't think you'll pick this lock this time.
Was that a challenge?
Why did I even say that?
Perhaps if I look at the part of a very distinguished client, maybe we can get the bank manager to be the one to give us the tour, and someone can
Grab
part
the
the
key.
key from her possession.
Would it be smart for all of us to be with you as guards in the bank, or should we possibly have someone out back guarding our exit if we need to make a quick escape?
Who would that be potentially?
I was gonna volunteer, but unfortunately I think I look the best part of a guard. Maybe Pip could be guarding our rear.
I don't mind that. I think to not be seen in the bank. I know I've got the disguise, but just careful.
Yeah, we've all got our reasons.
The night continues to carry on, and it gets later. Continue.
So, and at this point, Ocelot has pulled out a piece of paper and has drawn a rough sketch of the area around the bank and how they described it and how we're planning on pulling up. It's totally unnecessary for the plan, but he's done it anyways. And it's literally just he has some shot glasses that we've pulled up and he's labeled them separately with everybody and has P at the back door and then the other 4 party members coming in through the front. All right, so we come in through the front door. Then, Maddie, you ask for a tour of the place, and Nightshade, you come up behind the teller and pickpocket the key. We go through, and what then? Do maybe me and Nightshade slip off while we go past the vault, and you get the rest of the tour with Argus here? How are we gonna get in the vault and actually take the stuff, you know?
I'm fine with staying with you. Wherever you go, I'll go.
Argus looks mildly disappointed when Ocelot brings over the shot glasses and he realizes he's not using them for drinking. And takes a second to realize that, yes, he was actually listening and says, that's a lot of splitting up. We're going to have one at the back and 2 different groups inside. If you get in trouble, there may not be much help coming.
I know we can disguise ourselves, but magic can only go so far, and there's, I look over at Pip, a number of us not wanting to get seen doing this job as much as possible.
Yes.
Splitting up reduces those odds.
I guess. And he takes one of the shot glasses, turns it over, and pours himself some whiskey and shoots it. Then puts it back down.
You're gonna get...
Ocelot.
No, there's... Like, wipes up some of the whiskey that was left in the shot glass that he didn't get all of.
Hey, now.
What do you think, Maddie? Split up or do we all stay together?
Splitting up seems unwise. The simple fact that if we all find ourselves split up, then we have the disadvantage of numbers. And if we're going to subtly make things move about, it helps when it's hidden between a group rather than just 2 people. A chance.
I don't mean to guess around. Does anyone have the ability to cast magic? To call upon divine? Interesting.
Not divine, but...
Do you have the ability to send messages at a distance, subtly?
Unfortunately, no, that's not one of my skills right now.
Well, that leaves just me, I guess. I'm gifted to be able to message. We can potentially keep in contact with the separate groups through me, but that would require me to be aware of the separate groups.
Tricky. When you can't talk to everyone at a distance.
Perhaps you two can distract the bank manager while we're in the vault grabbing what we need to. Maybe you take a nice tour of his back office and chat about your business plan while we make sure that it's a safe location that we actually want to invest in.
Seems like a potentially good idea. Anyone else have an issue with that?
Reckon that sounds like the best plan we're probably going to come up with.
Can you let me know when you guys are coming out?
I can.
Okay.
I can let everyone know as we do it.
I will try to be prepared with something to distract them in the back.
Well, if we're gonna do it that way, I need to go get some sleep and prepare myself for the day.
Yes, I think we all could do with a bit of rest. And
I
no
look
drinking
over
in
at-
the morning.
I look over at Argus and Nightshade, who've probably had a couple of glasses. Oh wait, that's right. Nightshade hasn't had any more glasses since earlier. I would know that. But Argus and he's, yeah, we all could use our sleep.
Right. Okay.
How many shots have you had, buddy?
Wait, I was supposed to be counting? Nobody
No.
did it. Counting.
Rowan will help Argus to his room.
Are we staying here?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Then
Okay.
definitely Rowan would help Argus to his room.
So Rowan's helping
Thank you.
Argus to
Thank you
his room.
kindly.
Yes.
All right.
And I'll tuck you in like a little baby too. Like as soon as I get you up there in bed, like I'll put the blanket on and like just like give you a little pat on the head. Sleep well, my friend. Like backs out the door and closes it ever so quietly.
So everybody heads upstairs to bed,
Mhm.
and they have an uneventful night of resting. And this is where we'll take our break
Hey.
before we go into some interesting
Heisting.
shrug of shoulders.
It's definitely ghosts.
It definitely goes.
It's definitely ghosts. All right, so we found out that Rowan likes the drink and Argus likes the drink, and maybe we'll just stay in a tavern for this entire
Yeah.
campaign.
I did not have getting tucked in on my bingo card.
No,